I would like to talk a bit about enhanced action and stakeholder engagement for sustainable peatland management. And yeah, we have all heard about the big challenges we have ahead of us. We have heard a lot about data and knowledge, especially in the tropics. But if we look on the emissions from peatlands and also from the global, from the hotspot atlas maps, we have seen actually we have huge problems also here in Europe and especially in Germany, where we have actually almost 95% of peatlands degraded and drained and degraded. So I would like to focus a bit on how we can upscale and accelerate restoration through policies. And for that, first of all, we have to know the policies, as Mark and Rosie already summarized. We have a lot of actually policies which are relevant for peatlands. This is a framework which we developed with Agora Agrar, agriculture think tank here in Germany, which shows that peatlands are actually like a cross-cutting issues with soils, biodiversity, water, building, agriculture, of course, forestry, spatial planning, climate. And we really have to see how this political framework can leverage restoration in the future and actually enable action on the ground. So what is needed to make it work in practice and at the necessary speed, because we don't have time. We have to act now. I would like to touch these different fields here, from policy to practice and vice versa, because also policy should be informed by the practice and by the action. So I would talk about supporting local policy making and action, how to bring policy and decision makers to the field, how to engage businesses, but also how to connect science, art, and local communities with peatlands. So I will focus on some of the examples we are working on here in Germany. So we are very much engaged with all kinds of stakeholders, with farmers communities, with local people. We do feasibility studies to kind of make them, give them the knowledge and the instruments actually to enabling restoration and sustainable management. We do a lot of capacity building. So we go out in the field with, for example, local peatland managers, which are there in some municipalities now in Germany. We do landscape walks. So we are not only sitting in the rooms, but we really go out into the peatlands and start discussions there. Actually, that is a kind of a byproduct of the Corona pandemic when we couldn't meet inside. So we just invented this kind of very nice tool, which gives a different perspective. And we are very much engaged in local peatland councils and strategies. There are examples here from a site in our region in Mecklenburg-Western Pomerania, northeast of Germany, where in the EU-funded Alpha Wetlands project, we have a living lab where we are trying all these new instruments of engagement and co-creation between stakeholders. We bring the public and decision makers to the field and field days for restoration and paludiculture. We do guided tours with politicians. So this is Delara Burkhardt, member of the European Parliament, who visited us in the paludiculture site. And 2 weeks later, she had a speech on the nature restoration law in the European Parliament. And she actually mentioned her experiences in the paludiculture field. So that is a very strong and direct impact. And we are also trying to provide accessible information. For example, we published recently the Peatland Atlas, which is kind of the easily accessible version of the Global Peatland Assessment, with a lot of infographics, a lot of maps, and easy language text. So if you like to grab one, I have some copies here. You're welcome, but it's also available online, of course. Then we think it's also very important to connect science, art, and communities, because we won't win people just with their brain, but we also have to touch their heart. So we had a great cooperation with the Turba Tol Hol Hol project, which artists collective from Chile had made the Chilean pavilion at the Venice Biennale in 2022. with a nice Vagnum installation there. And from that, we developed the Venice Agreement, which is a call for action to protect global peatlands locally, to really engage local communities and indigenous people as custodians of their peatlands, to link up science and art, as I said, the brain and the heart of people. There was a meeting just last week. Patrick was there, where we revisited the Venice Agreement in Torrevetos in Portugal with a lot of stakeholders, which had been in Venice, but which also met there. And we have a project in the Succow Foundation called Sensing Peat, where we really want to enlarge that platform and bring this artists and local communities knowledge to the world. And then we also need to engage business, because we have the situation, especially here in Europe, that on the one hand, we have farmers who want to change their practices, who want to re-wet and do paludiculture, but at the moment, there is no market yet. There's no demand. On the other hand, we have businesses who also would like to take benefit from the advantages of re-wetting peatlands, of storing carbon, reducing emissions, but how to bring that together? We have this kind of chicken-egg problem, like who is moving first? And for that, we started the Tomorrow Initiative. And just recently, we launched a big new alliance, the Alliance of Pioneers, where major companies from Germany, but also some international companies like Procter & Gamble or Strabag, which is Europe's biggest construction company, actually joined in. These are companies from different fields, from paper industry, from construction materials, from construction companies, from ready-made houses, from consumers, change, from e-commerce, and they all want to bring in paludiculture biomass into their value chains, starting first with pilots, but then upscaling and really use it in their in their business, and to building up this platform, this Paludi Allianz, how we call it in German, is supported by the German Ministry of Agriculture. So it's also nice to see that also the agricultural sector is really strongly engaged in peatland restoration and paludiculture. So my message would be how to bring policies into action is to build new alliances, build alliances between scientists, artists, local community, do great things together, but also between conservationists, climate activists and businesses, because a lot of the demands and a lot of the needs are the same. You just have to bring it together. And that's how we strongly see our role to facilitate that exchange and facilitate to build up new alliances so that we can, support global peatland restoration, conservation on a local level as well.